The US government releases a chemical attack on the entire country as a way to reset society. Millions of people die within minutes. The government does nothing to restore order afterward, so survivors have two choices: join one of the gangs that control the territory and fight constantly, or become a domestic and try to live in peace. A few months after the attack, a domestic couple named Mark and Nina load their car to drive to Milwaukee and find Nina's parents. Mark's friend warns him the road is dangerous, but Mark says he has to go because he still loves Nina, even though they are considering divorce. On the road, a radio host reminds domestics to stay off the freeways, watch for snipers, and shoot anyone dressed like a ghost because those are members of the Sheets gang. The car starts to malfunction, and they pull into an abandoned garage. While Mark works on the engine, three men walk into the shop. They do not see the couple, so Mark moves carefully to get back into the car. A truck bursts through the wall, and the Sheets open fire and kill the three men. Mark tries to start the car several times, and the noise draws the Sheets toward him, but the engine finally turns over and they drive out before the gang can reach them. The radio tells them the Sheets are in a war with the Nailers. Late in the afternoon, they stop at an abandoned house for the night. Nina searches for supplies and Mark checks every room, then finds a dead couple in the bedroom. The blood shows they were attacked before they died, so Mark covers the bodies. Nina tries to reach her mother on an old radio but gets no answer. That night, Mark updates his map and goes to sleep with Nina. A man outside watches them through the window. The next morning, that man and his friend are beaten by a group of Nailers who threaten to chainsaw them unless they reveal where to find a woman. The man tells them where Nina is, but the Nailers shoot both men anyway. The couple hears the Nailers pulling up to the house on bikes, so Nina runs to the attic and puts on headphones. The Nailers enter and search the rooms, and Mark sneaks up behind one of them and drives a screwdriver into his skull. Then, he tackles a Nailer named Dean and stabs him in the stomach and in the eye. The couple gets in the car and drives away, not noticing someone is watching them go. On the road, the radio reports that a woman from the Cherry Gang is out saving women and killing anyone who gets in her way. They pull into a supermarket to get supplies, and an armed man steps out of the shadows. He takes off his mask and shakes Mark's hand. His name is Nathan, and he has been watching them to make sure they are safe. A car approaches, and the three of them hide behind the shelves as the Nailers walk in. Nathan's son, Steven, has been hiding behind a counter the whole time, and he shoots the Nailers down before any of them can take a step. Nathan invites them to dinner, and they all leave in his tow truck with Mark's car in tow. As they pull out of the lot, a gang called the Plowboys blocks the road. Their leader, Jim, says they are patrolling because the Gamblers gang is nearby. There is a woman named Betsy trapped in the Gamblers' truck, and Jim tells them she is the Cherry from the radio, but he is already looking at Nina with interest. Nathan has a good relationship with Jim, so he talks him into letting the group through. Nobody notices that Dean is still alive and watching them leave. At dinner, Nina and Mark sit with Nathan, his wife, and his two kids. The tension between the couple is clear, while Nathan and his wife are warm and dance together. After dinner, Nathan tells Mark the burgers they ate were made with human flesh. Mark feels sick and says they are leaving, but Nathan threatens to kill them if they try. Dean walks in and uses Nathan's daughter as a shield, then asks Nathan to hand over Mark and Nina. Nathan agrees immediately to get his daughter back. As Dean pushes the girl forward, Steven slips behind him and cuts his ankles. Dean falls and his gun fires and shoots Nathan's wife. Mark grabs Nina and pulls her out of the house. Steven tackles Dean and stabs him while Dean reaches for his gun. The couple hears shots from inside and takes Nathan's car to escape. Back on the road, Nina says she does not want to travel with Mark anymore, and they argue. The Gamblers spot their car coming and spin a wheel, and it lands on a skull. A sniper fires, and the bullet hits Nina in the shoulder, so Mark turns the car around and heads back to town. Nathan calls Jim and tells him he can have the couple. Jim goes to gather his men but finds them all dead. Betsy hits him from behind with a pipe and knocks him out, then frees all the women the gang had captured. She takes guns from a table and drives off in a police car. The noise from Jim in the trunk gets on her nerves, so she stops and shoots him in the leg. She spots something moving in the trees and goes after it, leaving her keys in the trunk. The next morning, Nina wakes up in a cabin with a bandage on her shoulder. Mark is gone, but there is a note saying he went to find food. Nina tries the front door and finds another note warning her it is booby-trapped, so she goes out the window. She finds a car in the garage and goes back inside to pack and leave alone. Then she finds a note telling her to listen to music, and another note pointing her to a record with her favorite song. The last note is from Mark, apologizing and asking her not to give up on their marriage. Nina feels guilty and stays, dancing to the music and drinking. Betsy watches her from outside, then goes back to the car and kills Jim. Mark enters an abandoned house and finds two prisoners with bags over their heads. He pulls the bags off and sees Nathan and Steven. A man named William steps out with a gun and makes Mark drop his weapon. William says he loves violence and brings out his prisoner, a large man called Bill. Mark and Bill have to fight to the death, and if Mark refuses, William shoots Nathan and Steven. Mark kicks Bill in the groin, but Bill blocks his punch and hits Mark so hard he falls. Bill throws him around, kicks him in the stomach, and lifts him by the neck. Mark headbutts him to break free, but Bill grabs him again and throws him into the furniture. Bill tries to snap Mark's neck, and Mark bites his arm, so Bill throws him into William. Mark and William fight for the gun, and it fires and kills William. Mark frees Nathan, Steven, and Bill, and they all go their separate ways. Mark gets back to the cabin and finds Nina asleep on the couch and carries her to bed. She wakes up and watches him practice his shooting, then asks him to teach her. While they are training, Betsy slips into the cabin and finds Nina's wedding ring. After the lesson, Nina takes Mark to the garage to show him the car, and he recognizes the model from his past. The memory pulls them together, and they get close in the back seat. The gamblers show up because it is their car. They capture the couple and spin a wheel, and it lands on a spade. So they lock Nina and Mark in cages and take them to the gamblers' headquarters at a motel. The place is loud and out of control. The receptionist sees they are married and sends them to the Snake Eye Suite. A host ties one of their hands to a chair each and drills the other hand into a gun on the table. One bullet goes into each gun for a game of Russian roulette. The host says if they do not fire on command, 2 more bullets get added, but if they survive 6 rounds, they go free. Mark tells Nina to shoot without hesitating. Nina makes a deal instead. She asks for 3 more bullets in Mark's gun, and in exchange, they only have to play 2 rounds. The host agrees. The countdown starts, and both guns fire, but no one gets hurt. On the second round, Nina's gun fires its only bullet, and it hits Mark in the shoulder. A gambler named Wanda starts fighting another gambler over the bet money, and the host tries to break it up. Nina pulls at her binding until her hand comes free, and she grabs the host's gun from his boot. She shoots him twice and fires at the table to free their hands. She uses the gun to hold the room back while helping Mark walk, then shoots the host again when he tries to call for help and kills him. Wanda has no weapon in that room, so she tells the others to let them go. Mark and Nina make it outside, and Wanda's people run for their guns. The couple searches for a working car, and snipers on the roof spot them, but Betsy shoots the snipers down first. The couple drives away, and the gamblers come out firing, but none of the shots connect. Wanda punches one of her own people and announces they are going after Nina. A few hours later, Mark wakes up in Nina's childhood home in Milwaukee. The neighbors tell Nina her father died of illness, and her mother took her own life to be with him, which she confirmed in a letter. Nina reads the letter, then asks the neighbors how they keep the peace in the area. They explain the gamblers sometimes try to get in, but they have a barricade of cars, take turns as snipers on the rooftops, and have explosives hidden in a mailbox connected to barbed wire. Nina is looking at the setup when she runs into Phil, an old family friend. Betsy also arrives and hides in the house across the street, keeping watch. Later, Nina sees Phil talking on a walkie-talkie and tries to get his attention, but he runs back inside. She sneaks around and spies on him and finds out Phil has been talking to the gamblers, who are on their way. She also spots a child alone in the street and pulls her inside before the gamblers arrive. She gives Mark a gun and tells him to stay with the child while she goes out. The gamblers get out of their cars and look around, and Nina opens fire and kills several of them. The gang ducks behind cover and fires back, and Nina takes cover. Betsy opens up with a machine gun and kills several more gamblers in quick succession, and the gang turns its attention to her. Nina takes the chance to reload. A gambler comes up behind her, but Mark shoots him through the window before he can act. Wanda refuses to back down, so the neighbor on roof duty opens fire as well. Betsy runs out of ammo and has to hide. Nina throws a smoke grenade into the street. Inside the house, a gang member grabs Mark from behind and starts choking him. Mark breaks a horn off the man's mask and stabs him in the eye, then takes him down and stabs him in the chest. Nina keeps fighting outside, and Betsy discovers she has been shot. The Plowboys show up looking for Betsy to get revenge for Jim, but they run straight into the gamblers, and a gunfight breaks out between the two gangs. Their truck pushes through the car barricade, and Nina triggers the barbed wire. The truck hits it, and a large explosion destroys it. The neighbor comes down from the roof and shoots the last gambler, but Wanda kills the neighbor immediately. Inside, Betsy comes to Mark and hands him Nina's wedding ring. Wanda walks in and shoots Betsy in the head, then turns the gun on Mark. Nina comes through the door and shoots Wanda first. With all the gang members dead, Nina goes to Phil's house to confront him, but he is already dead. She checks his body and confirms he has a gang tattoo. She sees her father's favorite gun on the table and takes it. On her way out, she sees the child standing outside Phil's house, staring at it. There are rumors of a gang made up of children, and Nina wonders. Nina gives Mark her father's gun, and he slides her wedding ring back onto her finger. Once they recover from their wounds, the couple gets back on the road to hunt down gang members and protect other domestics. The radio host tells his listeners not to mess with them,